So something I get asked a lot is about website costs. Like, how much is it going to cost us? What's our investment in this new website, Nick? And why can it be so different from company A to company B to company C? What's going on? And I feel for people in this situation because it can feel like a bit strange in the fact that I don't know if I buy this really expensive one, am I getting the same thing or is it different? Well, let me help. Now, we're talking about this. Let's talk about the same website. Obviously, if you add complicated integrations and change the spec, you're going to end up investing more. We get that. A website that broadly looks the same, let's call it a simple brochure website. It's got some words, some pictures, might be a blog, learning center, whatever. But that's the site. Now, that site you could get quoted at a few thousand to a few tens of thousands, probably. And there will be a range of factors that influence that. There'll be things like how talented is the design team? You know, how big is the agency? Frankly, if you have a very large city centre agency, they're just going to charge more, whatever. So there are some other factors. But I think the one factor that's really important to you as the buyer is how much Google loveliness are they building in? How SEO focused are they? And that can make a huge difference. So let's take two websites. Let's take one where you want a website which is simply your calling card part two. So you meet someone, you shake their hand, you chat, and then you say, have a look at my website and find out more. Now that website doesn't need to be found on Google at all. You can just sit there, you got the URL, you might even have a QR code to link to it. We're all good. We don't care. At the other end are organizations where that website needs to really perform well on Google. It needs to be found for hundreds, no doubt thousands of different questions, searches as time goes on. And that website is a completely different animal, even though on the outside it might look very similar. The process for building it is different. The people involved in building it are different. Bigger team. So you're always going to have your designers and your developers. As soon as we get into the Google side of life, we're going to be looking to things like we need SEO to guide us even before we start building. We want to know what to write on each page. So keyword guidance. It needs to be structured correctly for Google. So there's a couple of questions you could ask your potential design agency straight away. You might say, are you going to guide us on the keywords for each page? Are you going to mark up the site correctly for Google? You're going to do that. You're going to let them know. You could ask up front, you could say, do you have the Google certified experts in-house? Or do you get the talent elsewhere? How does that all work? So that'll give you a real clue. If they say we've got it in-house, great. That's going to work really well as a team. And one final question is always to say, look, are you going to fit this into our digital footprint? Is it going to connect properly with Google My Business, all our social platforms? It's all going to be linked up beautifully in one seamless thing. And that's not just a nice to have. That's a real big tick for Google. If they see you've linked it all up correctly, things like your opening hours are the same on Google My Business as your website. It checks everything. And there are humans as well as robots checking this stuff, by the way. So all that work to make this site, and it's much easier to do it, by the way, from the word go than later, that is a big factor in driving this huge variety you will see in the costs of building a website.